it's an honor to be here today. I think this is the biggest showcase that Arda's had so far, and it's always one of my favorite days, a good way to start the year. So thank you so much for making the time to come, and thank you to Arda staff and leadership, not only for the funding and the support in our research, but also for the opportunity to tell you all about our research and engage with you. It's probably my favorite thing in the world to do, is to talk about our research and engage our producers and stakeholders. So thank you so much for the opportunity, Ardar. Our project is to leverage genomic technology and collaborative producer engagement to support better heifer selection programs in the Canadian cow herd. About this project, it's truly collaborative and a partnership, and hopefully I can express this to you in the next 10 minutes, but a sentiment that people sometimes say about the Canadian beef industry is that it's complicated and it's siloed, and this project truly breaks some of those barriers. They're not myths, but definitely barriers that exist. So I hope that this showcases to you, Deputy Minister, but also to everybody else, that Ardar's support goes a long way in making very long-term inroads and impacts in our industries. This project is industry-led, and it is taking a systems approach, and I'm going to bring that up again through my slides, but I'd really like to make the impression about this. We're not developing a tool, we're developing systems that become long-term programs that industry partners, associations and agencies will be able to provide or offer producers on a long-term basis. And I will give you a very preliminary result. This is a 4-year project, and this is the end of our first year. So I have some people in the audience that guided me through my PhD, and they'll tell me, always make sure you add that validation factor into your presentation. So I'm just crossing my I's and dotting my T's and letting you know this is preliminary results I'm going to be sharing with you, but we're excited about them. So before I tell you about my project that I'd like to share with you this afternoon, I'd like to tell you about a different project. Like I said, it's my passion to share data from projects, and so why not take the opportunity to tell you about a different project first. I'd like to tell you about a project that we did using data for the seed stock sector of this industry. So just a very small project where we did a validation of our genomic predictions for seed stock cattle, where I followed the calves for these genomically tested bulls and validated that those predictions were actually accurate. They were predictive. When we looked at the production records of calves in commercial operations, on average, the calves that were from bulls that we predicted would perform lower than the group of bulls that we predicted would perform higher. They did. If you look at average yearling weight, there's a difference of about 100 pounds between the calves from bulls that we predicted would have lower producing calves. So what I'd like to impress upon you is we have very good genomic predictions for the seed stock sector of the Canadian beef industry. What we don't have is the same tools for the commercial sector, and hence the project that I'd like to tell you about that was supported by Ardar. So we have this great opportunity, I'll say, a market, environmental, geographical situation. Kijum likes to call it the perfect storm because it sets you up for a really good opportunity. And we talked about that. We've had some challenges in the last few years, including drought, but we're at this point in our industry, in our market, where we have the lowest cow herd numbers in Canada and in the US since 1962 and 1964 respectively. We have low feeder calf supplies. We have very high demand for beef product, which is great. I'm truly a believer in good nutrition, and I think it comes from including beef in your diet. We have high feeder calf prices, like somebody said. You're finally making money in the industry. And we do have lower prices of feed and access to feed. So this creates the perfect storm, or the perfect opportunity to rebuild that cow herd. What we know about raising to this opportunity is that commercial producers would like to do this with information. And I've just given you some background information on how that is available to seed stock producers, but not to the commercial industry. So we thought, why don't we come together on behalf of the seed stock industry, leverage what we have in terms of data, that's performance information, genomic information, and build a tool that is accurate, robust for that commercial producer. So that's what my project is about. It's in partnership. I told you I would explain that. It's in partnership, Canadian Angus Association, Canadian Hereford Association, and hopefully shortly the Canadian Charolais Association came together to say, here, we will make our data available to make this tool available to our commercial producers. Thanks to TELUS Agriculture, who also came together, and then Ardar, who brought it all together in terms of the finances. So our project objectives are a systems-based approach. I wasn't really interested in building another genomic test or any tool that you could put a price tag on and then put it on the shelf. I really wanted it to be a systems-based approach, because I know from working with producers firsthand, it's not just here, do a test and then good luck. That, in our experience, does not give you any value for the producer, and it doesn't give me a repeat customer. What works is if I give you support in terms of a team to help, in terms of technology to even to make your records. And then the second objective, obviously, is to have a really robust prediction. So genomic predictions that are accurate enough that they make the investment of doing that genomic test valuable. So those are our goals, or our objectives for this project. So that systems-based approach comes with not just having enrolled commercial producers, but helping with enrolling in record keeping. Some of our commercial producers are really sophisticated. They use smart technology. They're using an on-farm record-keeping system. They're working with their vets. They're working with nutritionists, doing soil testing, feed testing, things like that. And some of them, they use pen and paper, and they're using a calving book that they keep in their pocket and sometimes gets washed, and things like that. I have worked with the whole gambit. And our goal is to make it easier for those wonderful people who do just use pen and paper to maybe make electronic records. We're helping producers collect DNA samples, and that DNA sample and that genomic information, that is the key to tying data together between the sectors. So that is the key, really, to getting that carcass quality information from the abattoir back to linking to the genetics. So that truly is the fulcrum of how this works. And then we have genomic evaluations. As a quantitative geneticist, obviously that's my jam, and there's some data analytics that goes in it. But then there's the applications support. And this is why I say this is a systems-based support, because we know from commercial companies, working with companies like Zoetis, for example, they'll tell us if they have a test on the market that they just email the producer a result for, the repeat on that producer is less than 35%. If they have somebody call and say, hey, I just emailed you your results, do you want to go over how we should use them? then they have a repeat customer. And so we want to make sure that what we do while we're building this, we're doing the science, and it's really good science, but we're also doing what we call extension or the support system. So we have a team that it's breed agnostic. It's not about, I'm going to call the Angus person or the Hereford person or the Charolais person. It is just, I'm going to call this person that is going to be my conduit to education on how I'm going to use this information. And that's really important to me. So, like I said, this is very preliminary, but we're into our first year of the project. We white labeled a on-farm management system that is incredible because it was built by vets. So Dr. Talek knows it very well, but it was built for herd health management, and so it's very robust. It was called Herd Tracks. It's no longer distributed to commercial producers as Herd Tracks, so we white labeled it so that producers could still access it and access support on how to use it through their breed associations. And then we invited producers to enroll into the project, and so we had capacity for 10,000 producers, and some of my project collaborators were very worried about finding 10,000 cattle to enroll into this project. Well, I can tell you within weeks we had 19 producers that made up that 10,000 head that allowed us to go and help them when they were branding or did it themselves, sampled all the calves of the calf crop, recorded all the calves, and now we're following those calves as they either get retained for breeding purposes, or they get shipped for feeding, and slaughter, and accessing that carcass information as well. So to date, we've sampled almost 8,000 of those, and that includes parent verification, so we can start tying that information back to that registered bull. And then we have some data analytics activities going on, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about them. If you have feedback and you think I could do something better, or I have an idea, Kajal, please feel free to engage me afterwards and let me know. I'm open to that. So just to give you an idea of the population that we enrolled in the first year, once we've genotyped the animals, we're able to sire verify them. We're able to represent 342 bulls, and I've given you a breed analysis or breed composition of those bulls, just so you can see that when Canadian Angus partners with another stakeholder or industry partner, it truly is a partnership. You can see that the bulls are, half of them are Angus, half of them are Herefords, some other breeds in there as well. And so that's some of the demographic data. I also want to show you that, half of those animals are heifers, half of them are steers. And then this is where the interesting part comes in. You can see, sometimes people tell me, well, commercial producers, what are they going to record? What data are you going to get? Well, actually quite a lot. You can already see that we have quite a bit of dam calving interval, calving ease, weight information, and as we follow these calves, we anticipate getting information, production information from the feedlot, so in and out days, average daily gain, and then carcass quality information. And again, because we have that DNA sample on all of the calves, we're able to take that data and link it back to that sire or that dam. One of the exciting things for me, this is really expanding the repertoire of my skill set, is working with some data visualization teams, and this is where TELUS Agriculture comes in. They have some really great expertise on, okay, I didn't want to send our producers a spreadsheet. I just did not want to send our producers a spreadsheet of numbers and say, have at her, have a great day. That is not my style. My PhD supervisor will tell you that is just not my style. So what I did is engaged with these very creative, bright people to design things that would tell producers the numbers, but in a way that is easy to understand and easy to use, to make a decision based on. And so this is just an example. I just took a screenshot of something where instead of having percentile ranks, animals ranked 1 to 100, instead of that, why can't we make it visual? Why can't we make it easy to absorb? And so I'm really excited about doing this. The next thing to do is to engage with another very talented group. Some of them are here in the audience, so if you think that this is something that would be of value to your team, please engage with them. I know John Crowley is somewhere here. Abacus Bio is world-renowned at making economic selection indices. And these are really important because you saw the list of traits that I had there. That's a lot. That's a lot of math to do in your head. That's a lot of antagonisms to manage. And how much easier is it sometimes to just have one number to compare all your animals on? And so an economic index does that for you. It basically combines all the traits, weights them according to their economic impact in your or in a commercial operation, and gives you one number to work with. And producers really appreciate that. So part of this project is working with Abacus Bio to develop a Canadian index for commercial producers to use, using all of the genomic predictions that I talked about. However, when I talked to the producers that did enroll in our project for the first year, and I told them about the economic index, they said, "We love this idea, but we'd like you to go one step forward, and can I make my own index? Can I put in my own priorities that I've identified for my operation?" And so I went back to those really creative people that build the data visualizations that I showed you, and I said, "Can you build this for me? Can you make it so that the producer can say which traits they'd like to prioritize?" And yeah, they can. And they can make it really easy and engaging and interactive for the producer. So that's part of the project, is building all these things. Am I articulating to you and describing to you how system-wide approach it is, rather than just, I'm making a genotype test and this is what you're going to get? I hope I'm communicating that this is very much an industry-led, producer-led activity. So like I said, this is very preliminary. This is our first year. We have a lot more work to do, but it's what gets me going and makes sure I go to work every day. So as you can tell, we're really pleased and very grateful, not just to ARDAR for the funding, not just for the funding, although that's a very important part of it, but also for the support. The ARDAR staff team support me every day. We talk about this project, we talk about challenges, what's going right, what's going wrong, how we can pivot. And then of course, I'm very grateful to our producers who are so generous with their goodwill. Like you said, it's true commitment to the research. Anytime I send an invitation, hey, I have this project, I'd like to do this, but I'm going to need you to sample all your calves. No problem, Kajal. We're in, we support you, and I really appreciate that. So thank you, appreciate it.